Thank you very much. It's a great joy to be here tonight, celebrating our liberty. Is this a nice night?
Yeah.
I'm so thankful to be here. We live in the greatest nation in the history of the world, the most powerful, the most prosperous, and the most exceptional nation ever. And yet more than 80% of Americans distrust their government, both state and national. Why is that? And the reason is because government is failing to comply and obey with essential rules of good government. Let me give you some examples. Number one, fiscal responsibility means we shouldn't spend money we don't have.
Yeah.
Number two, the legislative process should be open, honest, and transparent. We shouldn't be passing laws behind closed doors with legislative kickbacks and people voting on them without even bothering to read the law.
Yeah.
Now, here's my favorite. The laws that are passed should remain within the limits of the Constitution. Now, let me give you an example of a law that violates all three of these essential basic principles of good government. It's called Obamacare.
Yeah.
This is a law that was passed, written behind closed doors, passed with legislative kickbacks, voted on by people who hadn't bothered to read it. It's going to put trillions of crushing dollars of debt on our children, and it violates the Constitution of the United States.
It does.
And let me tell you specifically how. Number one, it claims new powers for the federal government that the government has never claimed before. There's no legal precedent for this power. The power to come into your home and order you to buy specific products that are organized by the government, controlled by the government, regulated by the government, and they'll penalize you as the government thinks. This is a power that's never existed before, and if this law stands, we're living in a different country. The other violation is of the 10th Amendment, and the 10th Amendment protects the sovereign rights of states. And this law, thank you. This law will control so much of our budget that it will take away the sovereign power of the state of Minnesota to organize and control itself. So I say that this law needs to be challenged and it needs to be stopped.
Yeah.
Now, one of the most important jobs of the Attorney General is to defend the people, to be the people's lawyer, and to defend the state of Minnesota against unconstitutional intrusions on our sovereign state. And our current Attorney General has refused to defend our state. And I say that when your lawyer refuses to defend you, you fire him and you get a better lawyer. Now, one of the other major duties of the Attorney General in our state is the protection of election integrity.
Yes.
We need to have a Secretary of State, and that's my good friend, Dan Severson, and he's going to set up systems that work, that are fair, that are honest, and he's going to set up photo ID.
Yes.
Absolutely. And Dan is going to do that faithfully and fairly. But if you don't have an Attorney General that will enforce those laws, it's not going to happen. So you need to have the clean election team. You need Dan and myself both in there working for clean elections. You need the system to be fair and honest, and you need the system to be enforced by the power of law, and we will do that for you.
Right.
Now, we have another problem with our Attorney General, which is that she has been endorsed and received a rare A+ rating from Acorn.
Yeah.
And some years back, she settled a lawsuit and funneled $250,000 of your taxpayer money into Acorn's pocket.
Yep.
And she's never had to answer for that. The media has never asked her why she did that. The state legislature has killed attempts to investigate that. And I need you to be calling up and asking people, why did she do that?
Yeah.
Why did she funnel $249,999 of your dollars into the pocket of Acorn, and then Acorn turned around and worked to get her elected? Is that the kind of government we want in Minnesota?
No.
This is Chicago politics.
Yes.
And this is what happens when you have 40 continuous years of control by one of the most important offices in our state, by the DFL party. 40 continuous years. It's been since 1971. And you know as well as I do that our government is designed to be cleansed and improved by transitions of power. There hasn't been a transition of power in there since I was in high school, and that was a long time ago. So it is time for a change. Another issue that I want to mention to you is the business climate. We need more businesses in Minnesota and more jobs. We don't need an attorney general who is well known throughout the country, as our current one is, as being hostile to business. I want to mention, too, that I am a life member of the NRA, and I will defend your Second Amendment right. The people of Minnesota are good. They are hardworking. They are honest. They are fair. They are charitable. They deserve a government that is as good as they are.
Right.
It's time for us to take back our government. It's time for us to keep it within the limits of the Constitution. It's time for us to employ these basic essential principles like fiscal responsibility, clean and fair legislative process. This is what we're fighting for. This is what we're working for. We have a unity team this year with Tom Emmer, and with Dan Severson, and Pat Anderson, and myself. And it is very important that you send us to St. Paul as a team so that we can do the kind of redesign. Oh, please let me mention our brilliant Lieutenant Governor candidate, Annette Meeks.
Yeah.
She's the woman that wrote the book on how to redesign government, and she is just the finest person. You need to send us there as a team, because as a team, we can then redesign and reform government for the first time in decades. This needs to be done. It's long overdue. Our children are depending on us to make this happen. So let me close by saying, what a joy and a blessing it is to live in this land of liberty. Let's continue to work hard through the election to preserve this for our children. May God bless you, may God bless our efforts, and may God bless the state of Minnesota, and God bless America. Thank you.